cityhood. Like you had to make a way, right? Yeah, you had to prove yourself. I grew up in a trailer park. OG's name is Doughboy, right? We call him Doughboy. And he put me on hustling, right? Put me on the dope game.
What makes the extreme ass decision to be like, hey, I'm finna go join the military?
My mom pulled my grandma in my uncle's pool house and like told her that I was a drug dealer and all this other stuff.
Damn.
So my grandma started crying and stuff. So I was like, okay, at this point, I gotta make a change.
Now, how's your life after exiting the Army?
Dealing with, like you mentioned earlier, PTSD and things like that. I was drinking all the time. I wasn't doing the right things as a friend, a father, a spouse. I was just chasing dreams and chasing a lifestyle that like, it just wasn't it wasn't really who I am.
Hey guys, we realize a lot of you are coming to the page and enjoying the content, but we see a lot of you still aren't subscribed. And so if you could click that subscribe button, it'll help our channel grow and give you more episodes with a lot of amazing individuals. All right, guys, season 4, you already know we're back in the building again, and we're bringing back another heavy hitter who was on season 2. And he came with that sauce last time, but this time, I'm telling you, he's on to bigger and better and bigger things than last time. But listen, we're going to break this up into 2 parts like we always do for this season. Part 1, we're going to really dive into his story and find out who is Trevor. Right?
Facts.
Welcome to the pod again, man.
Thank you, brother. I appreciate the invite. I appreciate being here.
Absolutely. So for the people who don't know you from the last episode, tell them a little bit about yourself.
All right. First off, though, before we get into that, check me out. Listen, I know a lot of you are watching at home, right? And what I've done is Let's Go Hustle is partnered with Attractive Mindset, right? And to make sure that you watch this full video, I need you somewhere on the screen. We're going to give you something free, right? Just for tuning in. But if you stay all the way into the end, I'm going to take care of you and make sure we get you another gift just because of this collaboration that's happening. So yeah, so get into it. But yeah, so my name is Trevor Calais. I'm from Shreveport, Louisiana, a former military veteran, and now I'm a 7-figure entrepreneur.
There we go. There we go. Okay, so, we want to go all the way back,
For sure.
You said Shreveport?
Shreveport. Yeah.
Shreveport, Louisiana.
Yes,
Let's
sir.
talk about it.
Man, hey, look, just pull out your phone and get on Google right now, right? Listen, I love my home. I love my hometown, right? I love my city. Shreveport was the foundation and built me who I am today. It's really separated by a bridge, right? So Shreveport, Louisiana, and then you got Bossier City, Louisiana. So I was really our residence was in Bossier, right? But we was always in Shreveport, going back and forth and doing that, right? That lifestyle. Hood. That's all I gotta say, right?
Like country hood or city hood?
City hood.
Okay.
City hood. Like you had to make a way, right? Yeah, you had to prove yourself. And if you could tell by me, by my accent, who I hang with, right? I am the brightest in the clique, right?
Yeah.
So I had to come out and earn them stripes at a very early age. I met some OGs, right? Some people who really taught me how to really push and make money. And that just led to more and more and more. And that is what Shreveport is. Shreveport is like, get it out. They call it Ratchet City. It's called Ratchet City for a reason, right? It gets down, it gets grimy out there. People is, it is, and I'm not going to say that it's pretty much just like any other big city that has a lot of poverty and a lot of people that's just trying to make a way. Sometimes we just don't know how to make that way, right?
Facts.
How did these, we really don't know how did these guns and stuff get in the hood,
Facts.
right? How did the drugs get in the hood, right? You know what I mean? So it just comes to that.
Nah, facts. So I want to go back to, you growing up in this kind of environment. What is middle school Trevor like?
So, middle school Trevor is obviously I'm very active in sports, things like that. So I'm actually on that path right before I'm jumping into like about 8th grade is like when it started, right? But before that, 6th, 7th grade, our middle school, I'm pretty sure all schools are the same. 6th, 7th, and 8th was middle school, right? That's middle school for me. I ain't gonna say I was the smartest kid in the world, but I was really good at sports. Okay. So I was locked in with sports, and single parent household, right? My mom, she tried to keep me active within those sports so I didn't fall into the street life or what everything else that was going on around me. 8th grade is kind of when it kind of all went like, okay,
You have
now
siblings?
I'm starting to meet people. Yeah, I got a little sister. Yo, it's Trevor Calais here. Check me out. If you are a veteran and you are trying to increase your VA benefits and make more monthly income, what I want you to do is make sure you click the link in this description because I got something for you.
Okay.
Yep. I got an older brother as well, but it's a half brother, and I got an older sister as well as half brother. So half sister. So yeah, I do have siblings, but the main one that was always there was my little sister, Kayla Toby.
Got you. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And with you being the oldest, what's the age gap between you and her?
Oh, I'd be lying if she was, man, I think I got like 9 years on her.
Okay.
Maybe
Okay.
9 years or something like that. She was
Okay.
born in 97. I'm born in 89. So not good at math, but
Got you.
that's,
Got you. Okay.
you know,
And,
that's the age gap.
all right. So
8 years. Thanks.
you being in Shreveport and you dealing with a lot of the sports stuff, single parent household, you know, where's Pops?
Gone. I mean, he was always, see, my mom and my pops kind of had conflict between each other that I kind of had to pay for, right? So he didn't want to be around too much, and now that I'm older and I understand like the relationship and of what they had and all that, I understand like why he was never around, right? Because I kind of see both sides now, but when I was younger, I just never knew. He was just always state to state working. He's a horse trainer, right? Like racing horses at the horse track and stuff.
Damn.
And that's like a gamble too. Yeah. So he's state to state, making sure that he's getting the best thoroughbreds out there to win and things like that. So not only was he traveling for, you know, to make ends meet and living at the stables and things like that, that relationship that they had was already gone. So he was just never around. Maybe a couple summers I would see him or go there every now and then. But yeah, it wasn't right.
Gotcha.
They didn't have anything that was good.
Okay.
Yeah.
So now going back towards 8th grade, you say everything started to change.
Right. So that's probably when I met one of my OGs, right? I grew up in a trailer park, right? I grew up in South Bossier in Southgate trailer park, right? And I met an OG, his name is Doughboy, right? We call him Doughboy. Coldest hands you'll ever meet. So he taught me how to get down when it comes to fighting. And he put me on hustling, right? Put me on the dope game. So from there, just really learning and watching how he networks, how he talks with people, how he hustles, you know what I mean? Like the way he's maneuvering and the things that he's saying and the people that he's keeping around him. It really gave me a lot of knowledge being so young, because he was a barber too. So he's cutting my hair. He's been cutting my hair in the trailer park since he cut everybody in the trailer park, man.
So everybody knew him.
Yeah, everybody knew him. So everybody's going through that. So I've been going to him getting a haircut since like 6th grade, 6th, 7th, 8th grade, freshest cut, bro, getting that haircut. So I had been seeing it already, but I really started asking and wanting to learn about it when I was really getting into like 8th grade and stuff like that, because I was like, bro, you always got a clean ass car.
Yeah.
You always got big rims. You always got TVs and you're like, I want that, bro. I wanted that lifestyle, right? Not knowing, like where it could lead me, right? Or what could happen to me. I just knew that I seen the lifestyle and I wanted that lifestyle. So that was my OG who kind of really taught me and molded me and showed me the game. And I mean, it kept sparking from there. It just kept sparking from there. Doughboy he was a big mentor into teaching me like really how to operate when it comes to the streets.
Got you. Okay. So
obviously more people along the lines that I met along the way, but he was the main one. I was like, okay, boom. I was really wanting to, dang, I want to move like that. Like I want to move like that. New car every week, bro. Had a new car every week. I'm like, bro, what is you flipping them? Boom, doing this thing. So, yeah.
And so, you seeing this lifestyle from him, being subjected to that kind of stuff, your mom trying to keep you out of the streets in one way, but you go outside and that's all you're surrounded by in the next way. Did you have pressure growing up to feel like you needed to be the man of the house?
I mean, I did, because my mom already was struggling financially, right? And sometimes she'll throw that kind of in my face every now and then. Like I would come home flaunting a lot of money after I'm pushing, I'm making a lot of money, right? Everybody came to me. I was the go-to source around that area, right? I already had the OG who was supplying me, and then I was breaking it down, distributing to everybody else, right? So at the end of the day, I did have a whole lot of money, and I wanted to be the person that was like, okay, hey mom, let me help you out. I got this cash. Let me help you out with bills and stuff like that. But our relationship wasn't so good. So then it turned into more like a, oh, you just flaunt money. And then at that point, I'm so hot headed. Well, oh, you feel like that? I ain't giving you nothing. You know what I mean? So if I could move differently than what I did previously, I probably would. If I could rewind time and like change something, I would change a lot, right? But that's one of the things that I probably would have flipped, is the fact that I have to understand that she probably has a poverty mindset, not being supported from my father or things like that. So she probably was just speaking off of like, okay, that emotion of not having money. So,
trauma.
oh, you want, yeah. So, but I didn't understand it then, you know what I mean? I'm young, I'm making money. So, but that's what made me want to do what I was doing. Okay, I want to do this. I even told my mom, I was like, I'm trying to drop out of school. Fuck school. I'm not trying to go to school.
Yeah.
I want to make money. That's what I want to do. I want to make money. I told her it was a job, right? I told her I was working a job, which I worked at the car wash. That was the cover up. I'm serving everybody at the car wash. Boom. Yeah, I know what he want. Putting it in the glove box. My money's there. Boom, boom, boom. Now, that's how I was running and operating, right? But the initial mission was to leave school so that I can make income to provide financially. But since we didn't have a good relationship, it ended up not being that way.
Okay. And so now that you transition into high school, going through high school is a little different than middle school. You get a little older, of course, women probably come into the picture a little more, sure. All of that kind of stuff. But, now you can also be subjected to grown man punishments.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. I listen, high school was I probably took advantage of high school because I see how like other friends and the experiences they had, like when it comes to like maybe getting scholarships or like, I never went to a homecoming. I never went to no prom or no Sadie Hawkins dances or none of that shit, right? I just went to school to build clientele and do what I do and then left school. And then I actually dropped out early. I dropped out of school. So I had ended up leaving anyway. So I missed a lot. I missed a lot by not like locking in and being somebody that was like, dang, you know what? I could have, probably everything that I built today probably could have started way a long time ago, right? But we go through these we go through these trials and these tribulations for a reason. That's God's path for us. It wasn't my time at that time, right? Facts. So, but now that God has me dialed in and locked in on what to do, now it's my time. Now I'm on that path. I had to learn from all of that. But yeah, there's a lot of stuff that I don't regret anything, right? Because I live with no regrets, and as you should never live with any regret on anything that's a part of your life that you got to live, right? But if I could rewind time and change some things, I definitely would, right? Because left school early and I ain't get no homecoming or none of that, you know what I mean? So like that'd be big moments. That'd be milestone. People, my homies getting scholarships. That's milestones. Facts. You know what I mean? So high school was a journey though.
Okay, and so when you dropped out, what triggered that?
Money, bro. Money. I was moving fast. I was connecting with people that really had. Getting my hands on more than just like weed. Like I was a big just selling weed, perp stuff from Dallas, everything. But I met this Asian dude. I had a girlfriend at the time who got her nails done at the mall all the time, and there was this Asian dude there, and he knew I hustled. And he was like, "Man, I got this new stuff, bro. It's from wherever his country, whatever. It's like it's an ecstasy, right?" So he had like 20 X pills in a bag, right? And he was like, "Man, I want you to move these for me." So it became to the level to where I was pushing a whole lot of stuff to where it was like, damn, I'm really busy doing this, right? And then it's called Ratchet City for a reason. If you look up, Boosie and all that, everybody used to be off them jiggers. They call them jiggers, them pills, you know what I mean? And I had every probably color you could think of, every blue dolphins, pink dolphins, green transformers. Yeah, I had every pill you could think of because I was getting the plug from an Asian dude who was probably getting them for $2. He was giving them to me for $5 a piece, and I was flipping them for like $20 a piece.
Damn.
Bro. So yeah, like the money was, I'm saying like, I was moving so fast, bro. It's like, I didn't want to go to school. I'm like, why is somebody that I was driving at like, in the 9th grade, I was driving. Some of my friends didn't even have cars yet. I was driving already. Ben had cars. Because I was already on that type of lifestyle, right? So that's what made me make the decision of like, man, I ain't worried about no school. Like I know how to count. I know how to make money. I know how to be an adult. Like that's what life technically at that time was to me. Like how to be an adult, how can I sustain in life and live and make money. Everything was revolved around money.
Got you. So, okay. So that's an interesting take because, you know, even the people that drop out, because there's been a few people on the show that drop out or don't want to deal with, you know, college and they just try to figure life out. You know, at what point do you start to shift your mindset? Like, the money's good, but this isn't the life for me.
It was probably the times where I just, you know, I was like going to jail, and then like it would be my family members that were bonding me out. And obviously it comes with beef, it comes with territory, it comes with like people wanted to, you know, get off on me, and I'm trying to get off on them. Like, and now I'm playing by the gun, so I didn't want to die by the gun, you know what I mean? So it really came down to that. Like I went to jail for the last time, and you know, we had a family event. I think it was like Thanksgiving or something at like my grandparents' house. Or it was at my uncle's house when my grandparents were there. And then like my mom pulled my grandma in my uncle's pool house and like told her that I was a drug dealer and all this other stuff. Damn. So my grandma started crying and stuff. So I was like, okay, at this point I got to make a change. Like I can't.
And what year was that?
I want to say it was like 2007, okay. The year I was supposed to be graduating. You know what I mean? It was around 2007 because I had joined the military in 2008. So it was before that. That was like, you know, what made everything come to what it is today. Right?
Got you. Okay. Yeah. So that's the best pivot part. Now you change everything. What makes the extreme ass decision to be like, hey, I'm finna go join the military?
And that's what it was. I got tired of seeing my family hurting, right, and seeing my grandmother cry about it. And she knew what was up, but I think she put blinders on and didn't want to know what was going on because she'd seen cars through there, different cars coming in multiple times of the night, traffic coming through. Like the trailer park was set up. It was really like a trap. But a trap is one way in and one way out. And that's how the trailer park was set up. It's set up like a number 9. So my mama, she still got a house there to this day. My grandma still got a house there to this day. But like it's set up like a number 9. So it's one way. It's one way in and one way out. So she's seen so much. You can't not see it, right? So she all the cars coming through multiple different times of the nights, girls and
she don't want to mentally accept it.
Exactly. But she knew because she later told me later on in life, told me like, I knew what you was doing, right? But she, like you said, she just put blinders on being my grandmother and supporting, like she didn't want to see it. But that was that final straw. Seeing that, I was like, you know what? I got to make a change. I'm not going to continue to hurt my family. Hurt myself, put myself in situations to where I'm living by the gun, dying by the guns, things like that. I didn't even want to do it no more. But then I joined the military and lived by the gun, right? But
literally.
That was that benchmark in life that was like, you know what? I need some authority, right? I need some structure. I need some guidance. I didn't have a father figure. I mean, I had father figures like my uncle and my grandpa used to take, you know, they would step in, but I didn't have something at home all the time. And I knew they had all been to the military. I knew that was probably what I needed to do. It wasn't one of them judge says you got to do it after. It wasn't none of that. It was like, literally, I made a decision. Like, I'm done with this shit. I'm going to go get my GED and I'm going to join the military.
So you went to them. They didn't come to you.
100%. Yeah.
And so now what's going through your head when you walk into this office?
At MEPS or like, or like.
Like to say, I want to join. I'm ready.
First off, I was like, am I going to fucking pass the GED? Like, cause I dropped out like 10th grade, 9th grade, something like that. I forgot, but I didn't give a shit in school either. Yeah. So it's not like, even if I stayed till 10th level, whatever it was, like I didn't care. So I was like, am I going to pass the GED to be able to get accepted into the military? Facts. Had these tattoos on me, my hands and stuff tatted up. I'm like, are they going to take me? Little did I know it's a time of war. They taking everybody,
everybody.
Right? So I was like, first, let me start with that. And that was the most nerve-wracking thing, right? And then I'm gonna tell you guys this right now if you're watching this pod, right? If you do not have a job, you do not have any money, you do not have a home, you do not have structure, you do not have guidance, and you need something, the military will give you all of that shit, right? Yeah. I'm not here to recruit you to join the military, but what the military has done for me is literally changed my whole life, right? It made me who I am today. So I'll tell you that. And I knew that at that, I didn't have that, right? So I was like, first thing, let me get the GED, pass this, and actually start to like get accepted by having that, right? I knew I had to have a GED. Got the GED, went to MEPS. No, it wasn't MEPS. I was going to the recruiting station. I went to the recruiting station, talked to this dude. Cool, bro. My recruiter had golds in his. I was like, hold on, okay. I kind of felt at home. I'm like, he hood. He talking to me hood and stuff. It took me the longest to pass a piss test. Like at that time, like when you take a piss test, it's like it's got a line, right? And the more faded that it gets, like, okay, the darker you pissing hot, right? But the more faded it gets, you're getting closer to like, that was the last step I needed to do. I had passed the GED. I was already qualified. As soon as I passed that piss test, that's what they were waiting on to send me to MEPS. So I want to say that the most nerve-wracking thing was like, okay, one, would this be for me, right? And two, am I going to be successful in it? Went down to the recruiting station. I did the ASVAB. I did everything I did. They offered me two things, bro. They offered me infantry and supply. He didn't even explain what supply was. I didn't even let him get to it. He was like, because they know your background. They already know what's going on. They were like, they're like, you got these two offers, but I would go with infantry. And I'm like, why? He was like,
he set
like,
you up.
He did. He set me up. Appreciate it. Like, no, he did. He was like, I mean, you shoot guns, right? I was like, yeah, because he sees my criminal background. He's like, you can actually legally shoot guns. You literally can kick down doors and shoot bad guys in the face. He was like, you get paid to shoot. You get paid to be fit. He was selling that shit like it was special forces or something. He didn't mention all the garrison and all the other bullshit, right? But that's what it came down to. So I wasn't like one of those people that was nervous about it. I was like, damn, I'm already doing that shit anyway. I'm already shooting and I'm already doing all the dumb stuff. Now I can get paid legally from the U.S. government to go shoot bad guys who want to kill me or my friends. Like, let's do it. So, signed that dotted line and went down. I mean, shit, I was shipped out like soon after that. 2008 is when I joined, July 2008. I was supposed to graduate high school 2007, right? And then came down, and I think that's when I was telling you from the timeline, like that's when we had that family. I think it was Thanksgiving. That's why I want to say I think it was Thanksgiving of 07. That's when the family break down, and then I was doing all my stuff to get in line to be joining the military July 2008.
It's crazy how, two different worlds can be happening at the same time, because while you getting ready to go out there, I'm literally going through my process to do that. Almost like 2009, I got expelled for slamming the assistant principal into a locker in school. And then I fought this white boy who was just talking shit, and I was just like, man, they said
like, you're built for the military.
Yeah, they were like, bro, that's whatever. But I didn't even join the military right after that. But that's when my mom was like, yo, she just had my twin little sisters. She said, listen, we're going to move to Atlanta. Figure your life out. And she left me in New York. And I had to just go. I said, fuck it. I put the big boy pants on. I said, fuck it. I'm going to go do whatever I got to go do.
And look where you at today.
Yeah.
Look where you at today.
Yeah. I mean, but she was rough.
Yeah.
And then I ended up, getting into joining from a friend around 2011. And he was a grunt. And so he was like, bro, he said the same shit, which is why I even brought it up. He's like, bro, I see what you're already doing out here. Like, dog, you just gonna die out here. Like, you know what I'm saying? He's like, bro, you get some money in here. Right. And I was like, how much money we talking? And he's like, bro, I'm telling you, like, the benefits, this. I was like, all right, bro, let me go check out what they talking about. And I was like, when can I start getting paid? Because I was living out of the trap. Like, I was like, bro, I need bread now.
Yeah, facts.
And then he was like, yeah,
it's guaranteed.
If you join combat MOS, we got you. I said, okay, what do we got? They gave me two options. They gave me Artie and they gave me tanks.
I knew you were gonna say Artie
too. Because he told me what he had to do as a grunt and all that running and shit. I said, nah.
Yeah.
I ain't doing all that shit. I said, but tanks, Artie? I said, yeah. I'll take tanks. I'll be in a tank.
Death
what?
before dismount.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Hey, I'll be in a tank. And,
that's some crazy shit.
That's what sold me.
Yeah, that's fire, bro. That's fire. So you were in 2011 is when you joined? That's dope. That's
11, and I had an extension. So it went from 11 to 16.
Oh, that's then they gave you a bonus coming in?
$3,000 that I made them give up front.
They didn't give me shit.
Yeah,
bro.
nah. I said, hey, I'm not joining if I can't get it. I said I got people I got to feed right now.
That's fire.
You know
That's
what I'm
lit.
saying? And he, I don't know if he did it legally, but he said, hey, he made it happen. And I was like, hey, cool. You know, I fucked with him for that.
Where'd you go to basic?
I went to damn, it's been a minute. Sand Fleas, Paris Island.
Oh, okay. I don't even actually have knowledge because obviously I'm not a tanker, so I don't have knowledge on that. I went to Fort Benning, Georgia. So
tank school is at Fort Benning, Georgia.
Oh,
and so
you did AIT there?
No, so I did. So in the Marine Corps, you go through basic training, and that's at Paris Island or North Carolina, but they call North Carolina the soft one or whatever. But yeah, you got Paris Island with the Sand Fleas. That's what makes you a real Marine, whatever, right. All that shit. And then you go to MIT, so military intensive training, which is like not too far from there. And then you go to specialty school. So specialty school was for your specific MOS, which was in Fort Benning.
Got you. Yeah, that's dope. Fort Benning was hell. I ain't gonna lie.
Hell.
Bruh, shark attack, I think they call it. That shit. Now, that's when you talk about like what was your feelings like when you like nerd. Like that shit was the truth, bro. I'm talking about I was in that so shook, bro. I'm talking about from the minute you get off the bus. I mean, you just holding that heavy ass bag above your head, running, they tripping you and shit, throwing shit at, bro. It was so, I'm talking about shark attack was like, that shit was gangster. And we got woke up every single night for like the first, I want to say, probably month, bro, and of just I'm talking about 3 a.m. Drill Sergeant Queen would come in there, it's the hell hour, and we would get smoked from like 3 to 5, and then we got to be at formation at 5:30. So I'm talking about like that. Basic training was tough, bro. I ain't gonna lie. Basic is not for the weak. And so
it's not. What's going through your mind now, being used to a certain version of yourself, being able to do whatever you want, get whatever you want, you know what I mean, to now this life.
Got my ass humble real quick, bro. Real quick, bro. I'm not gonna lie. Like that is what I needed though, because I had a problem with authority. I always was arguing and talking back. I always was being disrespectful. And any of my family members watching this, I'm sorry for the disrespect and the ways that and the things that I had put you through, right? But I was disrespectful, and that's really what set me straight. You know what I mean? Like not in a way of like, oh, but more of like you're an adult. Like talk like an adult, carry yourself like an adult. So it really helped me not have a problem with authority anymore. Like I understood authority. I understood like, bro, you outranked me. Like you obviously you vetted in this game. You understand you're level, you're up. You know what I mean? Like I'm not there yet. So it helped me. It helped me with everything.
Nah, that's fire. And it's always like, because I felt like that was like the same for me too. When I got into boot camp, I was super quiet in boot camp. Like the moment I saw them smoking other people, I'm like, oh, y'all on that wave. I was like, I'm going to just chill. I wasn't even trying to turn up that way. Like, you know what I'm saying? I'm like, all right, cool. I'm going to let y'all rock. And, we did get into a couple times, but it was never to the point to where I challenged them.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so I made it through the boot camp shit, level. All of that stuff. But when I got to the fleet, things started to change for me. I don't know how the fleet is in the Army. And I'm going to ask you in a second, but my first thing coming to the fleet, we played Edward 40 hands. And so they taped 2 40s to each of our hands. Oh, shit. And we had to chug that shit. If we threw up, we had to get the bottles refilled and all of that shit.
That's wild.
And we had to like clean while we're doing it, and we had to do it before sundown. Like the hazing back then was real.
Yeah. We went through some bruh, I don't even know if I'm. They know the date now, but they was putting hands on you, bro. They was like kicking on you and like, it was bro. It was rough. I don't remember the what did you call it where you did the Edward 40 hands?
The fleet.
The fleet. So is that like, what would that be in relation to the Army of like? Is that like after a certain point of training?
Yeah, it's after all your training stuff. Like it's just when you're there.
Yeah, I don't.
Yeah, because the fleet is where you get to go to the barracks and stuff.
Yeah, I think within when it comes to, was it like after your basic part?
Yeah.
So the thing about Fort Benning, like when you're going there, you do the whole thing there. So there was never that part to
There's
break.
no separation.
Right.
Got you.
Like
Okay.
we went directly from basic straight into AIT at the same spot. So
Got you.
it was like when you're graduated, you're done. You know what I mean? At that point, you're just.
So you were
off to your
stationed
duty
at Fort Benning?
As my first duty station?
Yeah.
Or for basic training?
Where was your first duty station?
My first duty station was Fort Carson, Colorado.
Okay, so
In
that's
Colorado
what would
Springs.
be the fleet for us.
Okay.
And so we finished specialty training in Fort Benning, and then they put me in 29 Palms, California.
I got you. So my ass, I was good when it comes to basic training at my job and shit. So I didn't even get to experience that either. So when I first when my first duty station was Fort Carson in Colorado Springs, the bus pulled up and they knew they were deploying basically. I joined, like I said, 08, joined, got to my duty station. I want to say like after Thanksgiving, and then I was already deployed to Afghanistan like that next May or something like that. So they knew what was going on. When we pulled up, they actually handpicked people off of the bus out of the basic training based upon like how high you scored on your PT test, what you shot, things like that. So I had a high PT test coming out of basic training because I'm fit, and then I shoot good too. I think I shot expert in basic training. So we got picked for PSD, which is a personal security detachment for the colonel. So we were on a PSD team, which is a special team for the colonel to keep him protected overseas. I sounded really dope. They taught me a gang of crazy, like dope, high speed shit. Like Sergeant Donnelly was my platoon sergeant. Badass, bro. Sergeant Robinette was one of my squad leaders. Badass. I mean, they were dogs. They probably taught me everything that I need. Like literally shoot, maneuver, kill came from them dudes, right? And until I got down range, I thought it was the dopest shit. But as I got down range, when you're protecting the colonel, you don't really like you're on the fob because that's where the colonel's at. You're going maybe outside the wire with the colonel for like his little meetings.
They're not putting them in no
hot zone. Yeah. So actually, when I was down range, I volunteered. There was a company called Charlie 361. It's called Cold Blood. It was an infantry company inside of a Cav Scout unit. So everybody else was Cav Scouts, but there was that one infantry company called Cold Blood. They were getting fucked up downrange, like people like getting left and right, like falling. So they asked for volunteers from that team who wanted it. So I was like, let me get off the fob, bro. I'm like Burger King and shit here on the fob. It's chilling and shit. No disrespect to anybody who's been on a fob compared to a cop, but I had to go for like what I was trained to do.
Yeah.
Like, I wanted the hot shit. I wanted the hot shit, right? So that's what I did. But so I still didn't even get to experience that because right when I got off the bus, I was on the PSD team, which is like right back in the training. They didn't even really they were so locked in on like, you're gonna be good at what you do. So didn't even get to experience that part.
Damn.
Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah. So it was just been straight motion like high speed shit, bro. Like I actually even this funny story. Like when I got to my first duty station, I was doing all that shit. I started getting bored with the military actually, and I just didn't even go to work for like I went like AWOL. Like I wasn't like that type of AWOL, but I was in communication with my squad. So anybody who acts like they've had shitbag moments in the military. That was my shitbag moment, right? I was literally like, I don't even want to do this no more. I'm bored. I'm ADHD and shit. I'm like, man, I'm not having fun. This is whack. I just didn't go to work. My squad leader, my team leader was texting me and shit. I was like, bro, I'm not coming in. I'm at the house. And he kept, if you don't come in, you're AWOL. I was like, okay, well, I'm at the house. I'm not coming in today. I didn't go to work for like, I think like 3-4 days straight, almost a week. And then one day I was like, you know what? Fuck. They pulled up, bro. One day they pulled up to the crib, all black trucks and shit. My platoon sergeant beating on the door. I had a female. She was like, he's not here or whatever. I was in the basement and shit. They're like, he's not here and shit. But something clicked in my mind. I was talking to my family, like my mom and shit. And they were like, just do it. Like, just go ahead and finish. Like, you're about to deploy. Go ahead and do your thing. I was just so bored with Garrison not doing the cool. I want to go shoot. That's what I want to do. I love to shoot. I love to work out, all that. I don't like fucking picking up cigarette butts and like cleaning area beautification. I don't like that. I want to do what I came to do, right? So I reported back to work, and they gave me like a summarized Article 15 because I was a good soldier. At the end of the day, they're like, they knew my potential, so they didn't even kick me out. It's like they gave me the lowest Article 15 you can get. They're like, and we're deploying, so
you just got an NJP.
Yeah. So, but yeah, that's. Man, the military that's a fucking hell of a time. Hell of a time.
So you only did the 4?
No, I did 8.
Okay.
Yeah, so I did 6.5 active, and then you got to owe that 1.5 inactive. So where they could call you back. They rarely do it, but so it's 8 total.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah, this in the Marine Corps it's a little different. You got to do a minimum of 4. We went to Bahrain and Kuwait. Kuwait was versus ISIS. And so I had to extend for that, which is what pushed me to 5. But I got out 2016. But yeah, the fleet for us, it was barracks. And so with barracks, like everybody's in one spot. Like, you know what I mean? Like you got a roommate and whatnot, but like everybody's in one building in one spot. Yeah. And shit was wild. Yeah. Because 29 Palms is the middle of nowhere. They say it's the place they send military people to die. Damn. Like it's the middle of the desert. Coyotes running by, you those dust balls you see in the movies, on TV. That shit you look out your window, that shit going by. Like the nearest town is like some old school cowboy parlor type shit, and then if you want to go towards the city, it's like an hour drive to Palm Springs.
That had this hour, I would have went.
And so shit, all we did was drink.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. You ain't got nothing else to do.
All we did was drink, and that everybody in that barracks is like combat MOS oriented, whatever. And so you're like, we started fucking with the dudes across the street, and they were, I forget exactly what they were, but it started like little banter at first, and then bottles start getting thrown.
They were definitely
and then
MPs.
brawls start
They were
getting
definitely MPs.
You know what I'm saying? Like it started getting big. But once I saw life, again, that happened in the first year in the fleet. Once I saw life like that, I was like, okay, cool. As long as I do what I want, like do what I need to do for them, they're going to leave me alone. And so I started reading the tank manual, learning shit, like, memorizing stuff, whatever. So when I got there, I started off as a driver, and the tank driver, it's not a wheel. It's throttles. I was a good driver. Yeah. Leveled up to a loader. Loading Sables, man in the 249, all that. I'm okay, cool.
That's the good
And then
shit.
I'm like, yo, I want to be a gunner. Fire. And they're like, oh, you not ready to be a gunner? I was like, I bet you, I do this, whatever, blah, blah. And so this young dude who got tank commander already, youngest guy to get tank commander out of the whole company fleet. And his name was Sergeant Flavin. And I was like, yo, I'll be the best gunner that you have. Brought me on board.
Where I'm from? I will be the best gunner you have.
It brought me on, and we shot company high.
That's
that
fire.
Year, company
that's
high,
fire,
and then
bro.
We got our names put on plaques in like the wall office, all of that. And so that's when they were like, "Yo, Charlie Company, we finna send y'all on deployment." Like, "Oh, you gunner spot, like this it is," and I'm like, "Oh shit!" You know what I mean? Like, but that's now that we start having this like persona, I started challenging the sergeants and stuff. And we would do what we call like 60 seconds. Like we'll go behind the trailer, take off the rank, and be like, yo, fight it out.
Yeah.
And we start after 60 seconds, go back. And I was
cool. We're all good again.
Well, they wasn't really good, but they couldn't do nothing about it.
Right. Yeah. No, I was gonna say one thing about and you brought up a good point. Like one thing about the military is like, you really prove yourself, and you can steal jobs left and right. You can, and all you got to do is really just show them it. It really be like a, like whatever it is, this is show me state or whatever. Like in the military, you literally just show them you're the best, and they'll you out of there.
Yeah,
you were not performing. Get your ass back. We gonna put old buddy in there. Like, and that's one thing that I like. One of the things that like what I didn't like is the fact that you always got a boss, bro. Yeah. No matter what.
And it's hurry up and wait.
Outrank. Yep. Somebody always going to outrank you. And I was looking like, I'm like, damn, I ain't never going to be the president. So somebody always going to tell me what to do.
Facts.
So that's kind of why, obviously like why the separation and stuff happened. But that one thing that I did love about the military is you just perform and you do what you be the shit. You'll climb. You'll climb. I made E5 in like less than 2 years, bro. Like I was a corporal I was the weapons squad leader as a corporal at my duty station in Germany. And that's supposed to be your most senior squad leader that knows the weapons. I was so in tune to being an infantryman and knowing my job that I was a corporal and I was over an E6 telling him what to do. Right. Sheesh. So yeah, at that point you got to give so I went to the board, got my stripes and things like that. And I wish we did have the 60 seconds rule back in the day, but I actually got into it with that same squad leader, later down the line, and I got my stripes taken away. And because we got into a physical altercation, right? Did my extra duty. I've had every Article 15, I've had the summary, I've had the company, and I've had the field grade, which is the highest. They gave me a field grade for that one. Did my extra duty. As soon as that 45 days extra duty was out, I was right back at the board. They were like, "Man, you need you getting your stripes back. Like, we need you, bro." So I did all that. So, but yeah, that's one thing I did enjoy about the military. It's harder to do that in the civilian world because who you proving it to? Like, and
facts.
You know what I mean? Like they're almost forced, if you perform well in the military, they're almost forced to give you the next rank, which gives you the next money. In the civilian world, it's not like that. Your job is like, they don't base
you off your skill. Yeah.
Right.
The better you do, they just give you more pats on the back.
Yeah, that's it. That's it.
Yeah. Nah, the military is, and I think this is like the real first convo I've been able to have about military shit.
Yeah.
On this podcast. After 200 episodes, it's crazy. Like, I've had some other veterans on here, but the conversations haven't been that.
Yeah, bro.
Somebody to actually relate to the stuff about. And then, the only thing, and again, I'm also somebody that doesn't live with like regrets, but I don't know. I don't know how I want to. It's a battle. Mm-hmm. It's a mental battle because going on the Kuwait deployment, we had to open up the base because they're like, it's a empty base, whatever. ISIS is trying to take over it. Mm-hmm. Nobody's been here in I don't know how long. The shit don't even have power. Wow. We get there and, they do a little generator thing to open the cafeteria to Kuwaitis. Kuwaitis clearly never seen soldiers and military people before because, dude, we were like, yeah, can we get the sandwich? And that dude was just like, he hands the whole fucking bread loaf. And they were like,
bro gave it all.
We just like, bro,
you bully?
You just take it out. Yeah,
you bully?
We got to make the little sandwich things or whatever. But they only sent a small unit of us out there and it wasn't enough people. And so we had to walk around constant flat kev, gun strap, everything just looking out. But my post was a 2-story watchtower with no cover on it. And so my sergeant had came over and just dropped us like 200 empty sacks and was like, you got to build the post up. He was like, you got to fill it up at the bottom with the sand, carry it up the stairs and make it. And so that is where all my spine, back issues, all that shit come from. Like, what? And then, of course,
you basically started that outpost and stuff like that. You were the part of the build of that shit.
Yes.
Yeah, that's intense.
And that was nuts because now you looking for people like try to do crazy
while
shit.
You're doing your shit.
Well, exactly.
Like you're like, I'm building my, cover and these motherfuckers could be taking me out right now.
And we had the night shift. And so it was even scarier because people would come by the front gate and be like, who are you guys? Like, what are you doing here? Mm-hmm. How many of you are here? And, rules of engagement and all that kind of stuff. And so it's like, there's other stories around that.
Yeah, for sure.
But, it puts you on edge. And so now you're on edge. And that's why even now, like Dan will tell you, bro, I go to sleep at like 7 a.m., 8 every day. Like I don't sleep at night. I'm up all the time still. And I got it on 2016.
Dang, that's crazy. I can relate to that in a way. Every single night. And now that I'm obviously a believer and I walk by faith now, I had that issue growing up. I didn't walk by faith, even though I grew up in a church household and stuff like that. I wasn't doing the right thing. Even going into, starting to be an adult, military, starting to build a business and things like that, I still wasn't. But now that I actually am really walking by faith and doing the right thing at all times that I try, nobody's perfect. I have a problem to where I can never sleep through the whole night. I'm always waking up. Sometimes it's 2 a.m, 3 a.m. And naturally, just in my mind, I go check the house. I check the surroundings, go to each of my kids' rooms, open peep, make sure they're straight. But I also use that time to like say a prayer and like, because it's got to be God waking me up, you know. Like they always say it like, oh, at past 3:00 is like demon time or something like that. It's no, but like I use it as like, okay, that's God waking me up away from that evil spirit or whatever it is. So now that I walk by faith, I actually say a little prayer, then I do my thing. But it's every single, just like you said, you can't every single night. It doesn't matter. Around that time, I'm waking up. I'm like, oh shit, I go check my surroundings. I make sure the house is good. Check on the kids. I obviously use the bathroom, everything I got to do, say my prayer and go back to sleep. But and it's literally been like that since the day I separated from the military. I cannot just go straight full throughout the night. Yeah. So it's kind of relatable.
Military, the military, comes with a lot of pros, but it comes with a lot of cons, and that specific con for me, because most people wouldn't even realize like the time of my life where I was a terror, I weighed 120 pounds. Like I was a twig,
still getting down.
Throwing them hands out, doing whatever.
Yeah.
And it got to the point to where when we went on deployment, I came back weighing 180. Like they double fed me up, stacked. Yeah. When I came back, they was like, "Whoa, what's going on?" Richard said, "What are you doing?" You know what I mean? And I was like, "Hold on." And so it did make me feel a certain kind of way. But after I got out, my body just shut down. And I used to like sports. Like I was never on like any school teams or anything. I was too bad, but I like to play the sports like with my friends and shit. And my body after coming like out of the military, when it finally realized like, oh, you're not on like a little 1 week vacation, you're actually done with all of this. Shut down. Back stopped working properly. Legs stopped working properly. Foot stopped working properly. Whatever, to the point to where I snapped. I started drinking all the time. I had decent credit because, I started going into panic mode. I'm like, yo, I didn't learn how to do shit in here besides shoot guns. Yeah. Like I blew shit up and I shot stuff. Right. Like that was my entire stuff. I said, I can't do that on the outside. Right. Like I'm trying to change my life. It was cool going in, or that's the perception that I thought, going in. And I really started to look at everybody else that we sort of made fun of in the military. Like, oh, they supply or they do electrician stuff or motor T, but now they have skill sets. Now they have transferable contractor jobs that they can go to outside. And here's me like
laughing at those commo guys, or those supply guys,
exactly,
because they're actually the ones that can hold some better leverage on the outside, rather than guys like us that are combat guys. And you brought up obviously a bunch of painful points that veterans like ourselves go through, and if you're watching this podcast, those issues that he's obviously addressing, he's transparent enough to address those issues, and you need to do the same thing, whether it comes to your body pain, your mental health, or whatever it is. Go get it seen, go get obviously help for it, speak to somebody about it, and at least get paid for what you're worth, right? At least earn that rating that you deserve, especially that you're dealing with it. You already paid the ultimate sacrifice. You did what you did for the country. Doesn't matter if you deployed or you didn't deploy, but one thing that you did do is you went and served your country and you got beat down doing so. So make sure that you're getting compensated for it. Continue to watch this video. Like I said, let's go hustle and attractive mindset partner. We're going to be able to help you doing that. By the end of this video, we're going to be able to connect you to make sure if you are a veteran watching this, that we can increase your VA benefits, right? And we can help you make more money.
Facts. He's talking straight facts. When I did get out, it turned into, upfront PTSD, and I got put in a psych ward. And then I got Baker active because I felt like the guy wasn't listening to me while I was telling him stuff. And I started putting holes in the wall in the building. And then he Baker acted me again after that because I wouldn't comply to none of the stuff in there. And, I had a fiance at the time. Life just started spiraling. And then, the one thing that I'm glad that I did do, in Bahrain was like just base protection. It wasn't really anything crazy. Sec 4.
Right.
We just 12-hour posts, 6 days a week.
Workout and guard.
Yeah, literally that's it. And so I read books while everybody else was trying to do beers, tents, and whatever. I was downloading the little books on my phone, and I read 75 books that deployment.
Damn, salute, bro.
Mm-hmm.
Shout out, I can barely rate a couple of them. Right? I got a
75.
couple good reads, but 75 is crazy.
Yeah, 75. I did
That's
nothing
good.
else. Like, I'll just do it. Sometimes if it's a super light post, like you would have like a little room you could duck into, I'll read it on post. It was to the point where I was reading like 5, 6, a month.
What you recommend? What's the best book you probably read during that time? Obviously, times change, right? There's new stuff out. But during that time, what do you recommend I read? Like, what's the best read you had?
It was a book. I don't even remember the author's name because it wasn't like a popular book, but I saw it as if you like this, then you might like this, whatever. And it was called like Just Go For It or something. And it was saying like, it was basically shitting on self-help books. And the guy was kind of funny. He was shitting on self-help books. He was like, everybody would tell you, you know, all these fancy plans and how to invest your money, how to flip it, how to join real estate, crypto, do X, Y, Z. But, you know, what you really need is execution. He was like, what you really need to do is go ahead and take that plan and take action. He was like, even if you don't have a plan, taking action literally will get you to whatever level that you're trying to go to. And so when I got out, I saved all my deployment money, and I was playing this game, and there was these 2 little kids, and they were talking about building a website, whatever. Literally gave them my entire 20 grand. Said,
That's fire.
There you go. And then fast forward, they end up making me back like a 25x return on that.
So you read the book, implemented what the book said, and got a return.
Yeah,
y'all hear that?
I became an angel investor off of that.
You understand that? Like, he just gave you a big gem, right? Like, he read a book, so obviously whether it's reading a book or getting a mentor, whatever you got to do, then he implemented. The most important thing was take action, right?
Facts.
Take action. So then he took action, and then he got a crazy return, 25x, a 25x return, just because he took action. The books was probably free, right?
But I was dumb.
Well, we all learn
because I was still in that moment, you know, and I felt like, and this is another life lesson that I want y'all to really understand too, which is what kept me broke early on. I felt like the people that somewhat supported me now that I had money, I've always been a giver, you know, I got to give it to them before I even get it for myself. And I literally started setting up, because I read in the books allotments, all of that stuff. And I started setting up allotments to the lady that was taking care of me after my mom and all of that kind of stuff. And
so she was on that auto pay.
And so I didn't even see the bread. And it got to the point the kids blew up the website, whatever, like 4 or 5 grand, like coming in. And I know it's coming in. You know, I'm still getting the tax receipts and stuff for it and whatnot.
You're not seeing none of it.
But I'm not seeing none of it, you know? And so I'm just like scraping the bottom of the barrel again, you know, having to start over. And, you know, as a veteran, I started to feel isolated. And that isolation starts to creep you into like aggression almost, at least for me, to where you're like, man, I don't fit in nowhere. I don't really understand anything. I grew up in the streets of violence. I joined the military for violence, but, you know, I did still keep the core ethics of the military. And I'm like, you know what? Perseverance, you know, honor, courage, commitment, being able to, you know, stay true to who I'm trying to be right now, be this different version of myself. Yeah, I met him in 2018.
That's fire. And look at y'all building something great like this, right? Military not only just like puts the right people in your path, but you're able to like read people a certain way to know that they belong in your life. I feel like the military's taught me how to read a room, how to read people, how to know like if they're right for me or if they're not, right? So hands down, obviously, I always salute the military for that, right? Like I said earlier, if you don't got nothing going for yourself and you need something in life, the military is the play. Go do you a quick little term. You don't got to go to war and like risk dying or anything like that. Pick a cake job.
Exactly.
Right? I would recommend a cake job unless you just like violence and want to get down with the infantry and stuff, do it. But no, like I said, if I could reverse, right? There were some things that I would do a little bit different, right? No regrets, but I still would. You know, go do you a quick turn. You don't got to deploy and risk your life. Pick you a cake job, and get out. You're going to get the benefits. You're going to be able to use the VA home loan. It's literally been able to impact and change my life. And I'm pretty sure it's been the foundation for who you are and the things that you do today.
No, 100%. And so I completely segued it to that. I want to go back to, now how's your life after exiting the Army? What changes for you? Did you go back to Shreveport?
No, so just a visit. I never after the military. I never went back to Shreveport at all. My final duty station was in Fort Riley, Kansas. From there, we went to El Paso, Texas, because that's where my wife's father was stationed. He was stationed there, so we got a spot there. And I picked up, after the military, I picked up a railroad job.
You met your wife in the military?
Yeah, I met my wife in the military in Colorado Springs at my first duty station.
Gotcha.
So after my deployment, that's when I met her. Blessings. Thank you, Lord, for bringing her in my life. Right, she's my rock. She holds it down, bro. Like, she's the other part. You know what I mean? Like I said, I walk by faith now. There's a lot of things that I've been married 15 years, bro. 3 kids. It's a lot of time, right? Dealing with, like you mentioned earlier, PTSD and things like that. I was drinking all the time, drank Hennessy every single day, right? I was smoking all the time, right? Obviously, so I wasn't doing the right things as a friend, a father, a spouse. I wasn't living how I should be. I wasn't leading the home like I should, right? But now, by the grace of God, I've been able to actually improve all of that, right? Even help with my mental health a bit, right? Like, just by continuing to pray, put him, when I wake up in the middle of the night, right? Not just blaming, PTSD, not blaming it or anything, but like, okay, let me take this as a moment to pray, still do what I do, because that's never going to go anywhere, right? But use it as a moment to pray, right? And then by the grace of God, obviously I've quit drinking, right? So I'll have occasion, like if we're like, oh, after the pod, let's have a shot, something. Yeah, it's cool, right? Don't smoke much anymore. So, and then obviously me and my wife are like doing the best we've ever done in life over the past couple years, just by that, like it's just.
So let's talk about that journey after the Marine Corps. After the Army, you're in Kansas.
Yep.
And what made you choose to stay
Texas.
there before
Fort
Texas?
Bliss. Okay, so as in, like, when I got out of the military in Kansas, what made me choose to pick Fort Bliss to go to Texas, and that's what I was saying. Like, it was my wife.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So my wife's father was stationed there, so I picked up there. And while I was in the military out process, someone told me about the railroad. I applied for the railroad, and they had an opening in El Paso, Texas. They didn't have one back in my hometown.
Gotcha.
So that was the one I applied to, and then I ended up getting hired from the railroad so everything was like just in alignment, right?
Gotcha.
God wanted that time to happen.
Okay, so now you get the railroad job in El Paso, Texas, after the military.
Correct.
What is the current state of your mental?
Fucked up. Yeah, it's fucked up. Like, I was trying to be like a rapper, all kind of other shit, right? I got some good music though. But no, I was trying to chasing dreams and chasing a lifestyle that, like, it just wasn't it wasn't really who I am. Who I'm a leader, like, and I learned that I should have peeped that in the military, that I'm a great leader. Like, I've accomplished shit that at faster rates than most people, right? So I should have got out and tried to be a CEO instead of trying to be, somebody else's slave, right? The railroad, like, it ended up not even working. Like, we got hired out, right? Went through training. I was furloughed, like, right away. Now I'm back broke as fuck again. So now my mental's even worse. Now I'm like, what do I do? Okay, I'm gonna try to chase rap dreams, I guess, So all of that led to, just the mental health being, like that's the issue, right? That's the issue. Just lost, lost.
And how does you had got married to her already?
Yeah, we were already married. We were married at my first duty station was Colorado. We got married when I was stationed in Germany. Yeah. And so my second duty station was Germany, and then we went to Fort Riley, Kansas. And then that's when I got out.
So now that because she saw the version of you in the Army, which is, forcibly refined.
Right. I was still a shitty husband. I ain't gonna lie. Yeah, I was still a shitty husband. I could have been better. Like I said, I wish the path that I'm on now and how I'm living my life now, I wish I would have done it a long time ago, because she didn't deserve that version of me, right? Yeah, I was an adult and a father and, doing what I had to do as an adult, but I was still a shitty husband, even in the military, Germany, all that, bro. Like,
Okay. And
That
so
I only locked in on that like probably like the past before I left Louisiana. We had one big fallout. One was like the final straw for me as well and for her. And like we were like, do we want to do this? So we're gonna lock in and do this and do it the right way or we're gonna call it quits, right? And it was me. It was me. I had to be accountable for stepping up and like, okay, let me do the right thing. Let me be. She was never wrong. It was never her. It was always me.
wow. That's accountability.
Yeah, for sure.
And that's what accountability looks like. Because some men will just, not even just men, but some people in general will just navigate that and, just make it a gray area to where like, oh, we went through some things, whatever.
Yeah.
But being able to take that level of accountability, because that's how it was even when I came out here.
Mm-hmm.
I came to Florida because I was like, if I go back to New York, I'm doing some crazy.
Right.
Yeah, and so I was dating this chick from over there, and she was like, yeah, you can come stay with me in Florida. Came straight out, stayed with her, and she had her shit together.
That's fire.
Like Armenian chick, Kim K type, you know what I
That's
mean?
fire.
Like, you know what I mean? And she was doing at least at the time, 2016, like 200 a year.
That's good.
And,
Damn,
here's
that's
me
good,
broken, just doing whatever. And she supported me. She paid pretty much almost all the rent, all the time. Like,
Them hard to
she
find,
wanted to
bro.
do 5-star dinners. And I started to feel some type of way because I wasn't the type of man that could sustain her.
Right.
And I was a shitbag.
Yeah.
I wasn't, verbally or physically abusive to her or anything, but
never.
it was just for the character of person that she was. In hindsight, when I think about it, I'm like, that was 100% my fault.
Right. She deserved a better version of you.
Correct.
Yeah.
I was a creative. That's the only part that I'll keep to just me. I've always been a creative, and she's always been more logical. So she used to work in the hospital system. And she was like, I would do streaming and gaming and all of this other stuff because that's what kept me out of trouble.
Right.
When I was in the hood. I met these my homies. Shout out to y'all, man. Naeem, Juwan, Malik, all of them. Like, they were like hood nerds.
Mm-hmm.
And so they were used to the hood environments. They would get caught up in things if they needed to, but they were in the house playing games. And so
trying to get paid off the game.
You know what I'm saying? And so they got me locked into the games, which kept me out of so much trouble. Yeah. And I started to pick up, anime and games from them because that's what they would do. And I'll be like, all right, let me just chill today. Like, because I would literally be bored and be like, yo, you trying to go run in the house? You trying to go get this truck? You trying to go do something? Yeah. And then they were like, nah, let's play, whatever, Marvel. Let's play Super Smash Bro. Let's play.
Facts.
And I'll be like,
Super
all right.
Smash
Cool.
Bro.
And so it translated after I got out. I was like, yo, I don't have nothing to do. I'm going to get in trouble. Like, I got to play games. And so I just started playing games over and over and over again to the point where she was like, all you do is game. Like, go get a real job. Go, be logical and this and that. And
you're like,
I couldn't voice that to her.
Yeah. Everybody knows you can make $1 million online. But what if I told you can make $1 million in a room, right? What I want you to do is come see me on the podcast, the Cash Tour. Make sure you click the link in the description below and I'll get you a ticket. Let's go. This keeps me sane. This keeps me, Yeah, it's hard. It's hard if especially if they don't really know. At the end of the day, like anybody that's seen some trauma, whatever it is from deployments or the military, at the end of the day, you really don't know what goes on in a veteran's mind, especially a combat veteran, right? Like, so sometimes there's got to be that, understanding of like, damn, like right now, it's like, I'm not going to say it's the same situation, but it's an understanding that my wife knows I'm so locked in on this business. Like she knows sometimes she won't get all the time. She won't get all of that focus because she knows like, okay, this is what pays for our lifestyle. This is what is the foundation to, this home and this house. So if I'm in there in the office, like doing CEO shit until, 11 o'clock at night, she just comes in, you good? Checks on me like, all right, just locking in. She'll tell me the time. I'll be like, yeah, I need to get off. Boom, 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 but sometimes that understanding has to be there and has to be had. If she come in with a different type of energy, you never, how we are, you never know. Like if, all you do is that, and it's like, hold up.
That causes us to react.
Yeah, I paid the, you know what I mean? Like, so, Yeah, you never really know what's going on up here, and the fact that if somebody can see that and communicate it properly with us, because like that was keeping, like you said, like that's keeping me out of trouble. I'm locked in, and shit, you can get paid from it still too.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
100%.
So, yeah, that's deep.
So now I want to start to transition towards, what year do you decide, like, I'm going to cut the rapping, I'm going to cut this, and I'm going to actually pursue business?
So after I dropped my like final, it's called the Quarantine Files. Look, so you can tap into Apple Music. It's still there. It's still up. The Quarantine Files. I dropped that during COVID. It was like I had already kind of stopped with the music, but during COVID I got like real bored, and I was like, damn, you know what? I got all these, rhymes and shit that I was already writing. I was like, man, I might as well drop an album. You know what I mean? Like, fuck it. I ain't shit else to do.
Yeah.
So I went and dropped the Quarantine Files. That was during COVID. And that was like my last music type, like little journey or whatever. Then 2019, I got furloughed again from the railroad. And that's when I was like, you know what? I'm gonna go all in on business, bro. I had like I have a streaming company that I own as well. And so I'm really cool with my doctor. I was like, man, get me some, when they do go back to work, right? Because the furlough it wasn't a long one. I said I need some COVID, like just give me a COVID excuse. Shout out to my doc, you know who you are. I ain't gonna say your name, right? He was like, how long you need? I was like, man, give me like at least 2 weeks, and then I'll come back and re-up for another 2 weeks. We'll act like whatever. So I did 2 weeks, and I went all in on that streaming company, that streaming business, to get it like to replace the 9-to-5 income. Once I did that, I was like, okay, cool. Now I don't need the 9-to-5. That led to me getting my time back to actually building like the business that I have today.
And right there is where we're going to cut part 1, because now we're going to start going into part 2 where he becomes the version of himself that you start to see today. And so if you like this episode, if you know any veterans especially that need to hear this message, because that's exactly what this conversation was, 2 veterans being able to just converse with each other on, past experiences and present experiences. And trust me, he has something amazing to offer you in part 1 and in part 2. So make sure you stay tuned and check it out. It's your host, Moneybag Rich, and I'll see you in part 2.